You've mentioned formal inductions a few times, Darren. What's your favourite induction to use? Or what's the one that you find that you use more often than not?
It's weird, yeah. For some reason, I mean, I'll hold my hands up. When I've tried to do hand sticks with the last few people, I haven't had the success that I would have wanted, and I don't know why that is. I think I'm using the right language. It really swings and roundabouts, but the one I really do like, and I think is a great induction, is the one that I was first taught. Simply the magnetic hands. You know, their eyes are closed, and you're telling them that they're coming together. That's right. That's right. That's right. They're moving, and when they touch, your head drops down, and you go into a nice, relaxed state. They smile because they said, "Are they? Are they?" They don't know what's going on, and you just keep on saying, "That's right. That's right," and then bang, you've got them. It's great. It's a really good.
Do you do the surprise ending, or do you let the hands come together naturally?
Always do just finish it off with clamp them together and sleep, and then deepen straight away.
You've travelled around a lot doing your art and performance. You must have seen some pretty amazing stuff out there. What sort of things can you tell us about that you've seen during the course of your career? Things that really surprise you.
In the way of acts, or in a way of.
Yeah, in the way of acts, generally, because, when I first watched you and Hypnodog, and we'll get on to Hypnodog a bit later on, when I first saw you, it was on TV, and it was the first time that I actually found myself with my mouth wide open, because there's this black Labrador dog hypnotising people on TV. So you can't believe how exciting it was to actually then finally get to speak to you in Edinburgh. But I think it was Central Weekend Live or something. But to me, it was just incredible. And of course, as I've already said today, I was a skeptic. But speaking to you, you just sort of put it all in a row for me. But okay, so that was my jaw-dropping moment. Mm-hmm. What truly jaw-dropping moments have you had during your career?
Well, I've had many jaw-dropping moments, because I think there's some wonderful acts out there. Unfortunately, they've taken a variety of TV. You don't see, or you hardly see any variety. The only thing you see nowadays is Britain Got Talent or America Got Talent, and it's a shame, because there were some very, very good acts on telly in variety. Nowadays, you only see singers, you see comedians, but you don't see the old variety acts, And there's too many to mention, really, Reg, because some of them have been breathtaking, really.
Yeah. We've got quite a nice little variety scene going here in New Zealand. Actually, I have to say, we have an international buskers festival, which means that variety is much more. It's drawing much more of an audience here, which is really, really good news. I mean, I've recently been touring with some pretty weird vaudevillian acts. Vaudevillian's the only way to describe them, really, because they just sort of they're like circus sideshow freaks, these guys, but incredibly entertaining.
Well, I must say, you talk about buskers. I spent most of my days in Edinburgh when I was in the festival. During the day, most of my days watching buskers. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're absolutely wonderful. There's so many good acts out there busking. It's amazing. Talk about the old vaudeville acts. Years ago, there was an act, apparently. I haven't seen that act because it was before my time, but I heard about it. There was a man who used to play the piano, and he had a duck on top of the piano who used to dance.
Yeah.
Every time he plays the piano, the duck used to dance.
Brilliant.
And do you know how he did it?
No. How?
The duck was on a hot plate.
Oh, you're kidding me. I wonder whether that sort of desire to use stooges and plants comes from pressure applied by other people. Because I know whenever I've done television work or radio work, they always want to be in control, and they always want to be very structured. And sometimes you just have to turn around to them and say, look, it might not go as you think it's going to go. It might not go as planned. Now, I can imagine in a country like the States, especially when in the early days of television, I can imagine that the pressure that they applied to you was just immense in order to get that structure and get that consistency.
Well, I do not do those like TV shows if they want it structured, because I tell them we can't do it that way. And I will not do it that way, because if it's structured, then it borders on it being stooged. Yeah. And I will not do that. So bottom line is, I've done shows, I've been there, and the producers, directors, and I on the set are actually bumping heads, like arguing, because they want it done a certain way, and I will not do it. I actually lost a big contract I had with MTV because they wanted me to actually use Stooges on this like TV series I was going to actually do for them. I had the contract. We were shooting in the second day, and I actually walked off the set, quit, because they actually wanted me to use Stooges, and I wouldn't do it. So I lost a big though TV deal with MTV over Stooges.
You worked in Vegas for a while, didn't you?
Oh, I worked in Vegas for 10 years.
10 years. Now, what's it like actually working in Las Vegas?
Well, working in Vegas when I worked there was a really fun, great time. When I first started the show, well, let me explain to you this, because people have this illusion about Vegas with all these hypnotists flocking there to play. And I'll tell you that I'm the guy that actually started that whole game of playing Vegas. Everybody flocked there once that I made it huge. Right in my heyday of Vegas, I was making $25,000 a week, my heyday. And that was, wonderful, wonderful money.
Which brings me to my first question, Mark. Mark, it's
yes.
Reg here in New Zealand. Great to have you on the show and great to speak to you finally.
Thank you, Reg.
But my first question is about your assistants.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have permanent full-time assistants, or do you have like a whole kind of harem? I mean, a bank of them to call upon for your shows?
Well, I only pick girls that are easily hypnotized, because then I can pay them with, chocolate-covered raisins, and they're happy. So they're very inexpensive, and ask them to do anything I need them to do.
Sounds exactly like my love life, Mark.
Yeah, don't you wish it was that easy? The girls that I have in the show right now, there's a girl named Jackie who's been with me for almost 2 years. Next month will be 2 years, and she works 5 to 6 nights a week. And the other girl that I have on the show her name's Summer, and she's been full-time with me since November. And I have 2 other girls that I used to bring in and use for the show, and that position is in Vegas, the term is they come in and they're a swing dancer, where they come in and fill in for when one of the girls call in sick or aren't available to perform. But as you guys are very much aware, a hypnosis show can be done without an assistant easily and effectively. And for me, the first time I've ever had a female assistant on stage was when I opened in Vegas, and that was 14 years into my career. So prior to that, I never had an assistant. So the first few weeks, I felt like they were in the way. I was tripping over them, and we were bumping into each other, and it was quite comical. The audience didn't know, but for me, it was an adjustment period that I needed to kind of get over. And so I kind of use a swing dancer occasionally when one of the girls call in sick. I'm not really frantic in trying to replace one of them. I'll do just what we term as a one-girl show instead of a two-girl show. And for instance, last night, one of my Summer wasn't available to be in the show, so Jackie did the show solo.
I tried using an assistant just for one Christmas show. There was a girl singer from the band who happened to be available, so I said, well, you can come on stage and sort of assist me if you like. And nobody was looking at me.
Right.
As soon as we got on stage, they were all looking at her.
Right.
You're obviously better looking than me, Mark.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But again, we faced the same situation, and that was, when I first designed the show, when I first opened, I've done 2 runs in Vegas. I did a run for a year that I had a producer involved, and it was the theater owner that was involved, and we kind of co-owned the show together. And a great producer, and very, very intelligent and a lot of experience with Vegas and Vegas shows. But his background was more of the production side. Let's put the girls in. Let's give them dance numbers. Let's do scene changes and so on and so forth. And it never really worked out that well because, sure, they're great to look at and it gives a production element to the show, but I found that it took away from the real content of the show. And the real content is people in the audience want to see their friends doing ridiculous things.
My next thing I was going to ask you was, what's the funniest thing that's ever happened with you and hypnosis? Now, I'm not talking about necessarily on stage. I want to know, off stage, on stage. Hey, do them all. Off stage, on stage, in your sleep.
Well, this story's in the book, but the funniest thing that ever happened, it was, I don't know if you ever did it, because I've got to tell people, although you're in New Zealand, we actually come from about 10 minutes away from each other, don't we? We're both West Midlands lads. We're both almost black country boys. I mean, you're a black country boy, but I was born 50 feet the wrong side of the A5.
Well, funnily enough,
or the right side, depending which you.
Well, the year I was born, they actually moved the boundary. No connection, but I was born in Willenhall, Staffordshire, is where New Invention is.
Right. So we're both Staffs lads then.
We are, and then they moved the boundary, and then it became West Midlands rather than Staffs.
Which made it black country.
Yeah. Black country, yeah.
But anyway, right. Yeah, I was doing a place called Stourbridge.
Oh, I love it.
Stourbridge, which was upstairs, and there was tiny, tiny little stage. It was a tiny little room, and about 40, 50 people in there max. And as usual, the hypnotist was on, so there were people standing the wrong side of the bar and everywhere, And because we always fill places. The only time you got to see a hypnotist in those days was live. That was before Paul Kennedy did television. And I'm doing this show, and I used to do a routine. There's a Microsoft who were just starting to do a television advert, and it was where do you want to go, or where are you going today? That sort of thing. So I bastardised that. I used to nick terribly off the advertisers, and I mongrelized that into a thing of what do you want to be today? And the routine was, you can be absolutely any piece of common household equipment that you want to be, but you've got to be a piece of household equipment. And when I wake at this time, you're going to be that thing, And it is quite funny. I remember the first time I did it, I got a guy who wanted to be. I said, "What are you going to be?" He said, "an ironing board." So he just sat there with both his arms out.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything else. He just sat there with both his arms out. And
you get those quiet ones, don't you?
I remember a guy. Hang on, while I remember this. I remember a guy said. I said, "What do you want to be?" He said, "A microwave." So I looked at the audience, okay, right, fine, fair enough. You'd be a microwave then, and I'm holding the microphone by him to see if he did any, and he did nothing for about 20 seconds, and then he went, ding.
Is there a particular area that you specialise in when it comes to therapy?
There's several. Certainly, miraculous healings is one of the things I love because I've helped people with a lot of serious medical conditions. But also, I'm really fascinated with the sex area of hypnosis and how it can help with, impotence problems or premature ejaculation, or for women that are unable to have orgasms, and all kinds of therapy for sex. And that's definitely been one of my specialties. I wrote a book called Hypnotize Your Lover a long time ago because everyone just asked me, how do I hypnotize my girlfriend to do this? How to make my boyfriend do that? So I wrote them a book. But the other area that I specialize in right now is addictions, and my big passion is helping people with addictions because there's especially drugs and alcohol, these people who have failed at rehab multiple times and they think there's just no way that they'll ever get over their addiction, when they do hypnosis, my methods have just an amazing effect on them because we look at the core issues and get them to experience themselves in the future as not being an addict and, a lot of other things, but they're having great success getting over their addictions.
Do other hypnotists send you their training material, hoping that you're going to give them a mention? And what's the address?
Yeah, there are some people who send me books, and then they say, "Have you read my book yet?" And I don't have time to read them all, but yeah.
So, what books would you have time to read? You must have a huge library of books on hypnotherapy and hypnosis. What books would you recommend that people go out there and buy?
Well, the one that I'm really liking right now, of course, everybody needs to read Biology of Belief, and you need to read it over and over and mark all the sections of it and know it word for word in some parts. Joe Dispenza has a book that's called Evolve Your Brain, and the science about these neural networks and how they connect and why they cause such problems for us makes so much sense. And he's all about hypnosis as well. That's the thing he did before he got to be an expert at the receptor sites in the cells and the genes and all this. But you look at the neural networks, I think this is the key to why hypnosis works so well, because it untangles the neural network that's causing the problem and it creates a new one. And trying to do that without hypnosis is virtually impossible.